There is a new secret room that was added in the latest Doors update, which you have never seen. That's right, I guarantee that not you, not even me, has seen this room. That's how secret it is. Now, you may be asking, Cheddar, if this room really does exist, why has nobody ever witnessed it? Well, that's because, at least as of now, it's impossible to ever actually enter. We know this thing exists, even the developers confirmed it. It's just there's no actual way of seeing it with your own eyes. Still, despite that, we know exactly what this location looks like, and that's what I want to focus on today. In this video, we'll be diving into the mystery of the most secret and rare newest room in all of Doors, including a reveal about it that will not only shock you, but entirely change the game the way we know it currently. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Let's start at the beginning. I'm sure as you all know, one of the newest and most powerful items added in this update was the lotus flower. To get this, you must give Grampy 8 lotus petals collected throughout the outdoors, and then he'll craft it for you. The lotus basically acts as a checkpoint, as it can be placed anywhere on the floor, and the next time you die, you can respawn where it was placed. Now, that's all fairly common knowledge, but something you might not have paid attention to was that when you revive using a lotus, you don't technically spawn exactly where it was placed. Due to limitations in the game's code, it's impossible for a lotus to respawn you in the exact same room it was placed in, so instead it spawns you at the exact same door number it was placed in. This means that the rooms in the playthrough you use the lotus in will be different from the rooms in the playthrough where the lotus revives you in. However, among all these differences, there is one constant, and that is the specific room the lotus spawns you in. When a lotus revives a player, the player will be summoned into a room that is completely unique from everywhere else. These rooms will always be the ones players spawn in when using a lotus, and their appearance is themed around the floor the lotus was placed in. For example, placing a lotus in the hotel causes you to revive in a large hotel bathroom, with the grown version of the lotus being placed in the back of the room. If your lotus was placed in the mines, you'll respawn on top of the grown lotus extended above a massive chasm, and you'll be able to walk over to the nearby cliffside to escape. These special rooms can only be seen if you respawn with a lotus, and no other way, and a unique one exists for every floor. If you manage to place a lotus in the rooms, you'll find a unique rooms-themed lotus room. And of course, if you place a lotus in the outdoors, as expected, you'll find an outdoors-themed lotus room. Every floor and subfloor has these rooms. That is, except one, oddly enough, and that of course is the back door. The back door is actually very interesting, and that's for one reason, as it's the only floor where other items from other floors can't be brought into it. This is due to how it can only be accessed prior to even going to the hotel, and once it has been completed, it cannot be re-entered. Additionally, there isn't a rift present in this floor, meaning the easy way of bringing external items to the back door is out of the question. What this means is that a lotus cannot be brought to the back door through any means. However, and this is the strangest part, a lotus room was created for this subfloor. Just like how every other floor has a secret room that can only be witnessed if a lotus was placed in and used in it to revive, the back door does as well. This is that secret impossible room that is the center of this video, and as I said in the intro, although there is no way to see this in-game, we actually know exactly what the room looks like design-wise. Essentially, one of the teasers we received prior to the release of the Outdoors update was this. Now, it may not seem too thrilling at first, but these sketches are actually concept art for the lotus rooms when they were being developed. Of course, some aspects such as the grown lotuses themselves were pixelated, as the subfloor hadn't been released at the time these were made public, and the developers didn't want to spoil them. But most of the rooms can be made out. For example, the room on the left is the lotus room encountered by reviving using a lotus in the hotel. It's the same bathroom seen in the concept art. Now, I think you can see where I'm going with this, but the room sketch on the left depicts the lotus room for the back door. Now, we know this is specifically the one for the back door, given how it's colored just like the subfloor, has its same decorations, and how it doesn't resemble any of the other lotus rooms. Now, although this concept art does give us a pretty good sense of what the room looks like, how would it actually appear in-game? Well, my friend Kat, who has actually been featured on this channel a lot before, so shout out to them, has actually made a concept in Roblox Studio of what the room could look like, and here's what it appears to be. Unfortunately, based on the concept art, the Lotus Room doesn't seem to be as intricately designed as the others, mostly resembling the Lotus Room seen in the room's subfloor. But there are some notable things to point out here. Where the grown lotus is placed, which isn't actually shown in Kat's concept model, unfortunately, is a giant hole leading to the vacuum, similar to the one seen in the room's subfloor. Additionally, you can also see some closets and boxes littered across the floor, likely to act as extra decorations so the room isn't completely barren. It may seem a little disappointing at face value for being one of the most secretive rooms in the entire game. In fact, it's so secretive that, as I've said, it's actually impossible to ever see. But I still think it is pretty cool. Anyways, back on topic, if it's impossible to get a lotus flower in the back door, why would a room even be made for it? Well, I asked the developers about it, and their response is actually pretty interesting. Apparently, although it is currently impossible to plant a lotus in the back door and see this secret room, there are plans to eventually make it possible. The developers even doubled down on that statement by emphasizing how it's only currently impossible. This means that in the future, there will be a way to get the lotus in the back door and see this secret room. And as to what that way is, I can think of only one answer: the rift. Think about it, the rift is the only way to get the lotus in the hotel or even the room subfloor, and given how I don't think the developers would add a backdoor entrance in the middle of a main floor, adding a rift to the back door would be an easy way to allow players to get their lotuses to the subfloor. As to where the rift will be placed though, I assume it would just be in the very first and very last rooms, just like it is in the hotel and the mines. Additionally, and this is more speculative, since the rift could be added to the back door, then maybe rift rooms may also be added, which are those special side rooms that contain rifts unlockable only with skeleton keys. This means skeleton keys may need to be spawnable in the back door, but nonetheless, it is a cool idea. So, to summarize, the Outdoors update introduced a new impossibly secret room that can only be obtained by bringing a lotus to the back door and reviving inside of it, a feat which cannot be done currently. Still, even though nobody can see this room, concept art does exist of it, and models of what it could look like in-game have been created by the player base to give a sense of what its appearance could be. Additionally, the impossible status of this room may change in a future update, as it's implied a rift could be added to the back door so players can bring their lotuses there. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of this new secret room, as well as what you think of a rift being present in the back door, as that could allow for some interesting gameplay elements like backdoor rift rooms. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.